Well, hello there, everyone. Here to show you the thank you very much meanings coloring activity right here. And basically, that with most people would say that, for like, say, a greeting and knowing about is like for thank you very much. And basically, that what does it usually mean? It's like basically a greeting. And basically, that if it's like what you call it, like maybe if it's a return a favor, or if it's anybody that's basically saying it's like, thanks for your time. But on the other hand, that knowing about with most of the time that they usually go by saying is, just thank you. But then whenever you see, thank you very much is knowing about like, thank you very much. And basically that like anybody, like for most of us will probably say that. I'm like, thank you very much if it's pronounced like top us, for thank you. And, sometimes, if most of us were to go like say if it's the language altered to, if it's like your Times New Roman or anything like that, knowing about is like for very much. And a lot of times, so that there may be another number of ways like top I say for very much, and then they include like what you call like the parenthesis type of. What you call like I guess you call it, maybe you say not say quotation, but let's say a apostrophe mark, and then on the other hand, I know about say for very much, and then some people that may say it's like for so much. And every time I think about so much, I'm like anybody that may say, I'm like if they're gonna have a greeting such as, and what exactly does it usually mean? That most of the time, whenever people use the word by the phrase of like what you call, it's like for thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thanks thank you so kindly or something like that. And like with anybody that may say, I'm like really that you just never know if they are what you call is like if they are folding their hands together or anything like that, and knowing about how they say it's like you are the best, or you are a lifesaver. And anybody that may say it like that I can tell anybody here I've been called a lifesaver a few times, and a lot of times you're like wondering, okay, what does that mean? But on the other hand, knowing about that they have right here is a picture drawing I drew here of me, and this right here would have been a picture right here that I drew from a photo. And that knowing about it's like for knowing about for whose birthday was coming up, sooner it was, and then for know what day it was, and just thinking about the whole purpose about the whole part about is like to say for so far as for thank you very much. Talking right here is like what thank you very much is like talking about right here. If anybody were to say about use that meaning what you call it's like for thank you very much, and basically that knowing about that if they were given something, and like with anybody that may wonder about what does it usually mean whenever you give something, it's like talk about seeing to receive, and basically that anybody that may say it like that's like what you call like the special tradition of knowing about that for to celebrate or something that's useful to you, that from this person from her or I or something like that, or from him and I or something like that. And like with anybody that may wonder about that, was the time that like they go by what you call that question, that question to where that nowadays that why is it that most packages delivered through the mail, some of them that require signatures, but on the other hand too, that knowing about that for who's delivering the presents, and knowing about whenever it's the present is received. But on the other hand, that knowing about that whenever people use put the word as like what you call for thank you so much or thank you very much. And basically that I guess what it basically means is that knowing about that that they took the extra time to explain or help up with something, and that they go by what's called like the word of knowing about is that hey, I'm like thanks thanks so much for taking the time to explain to me about this or that, and would help me understand, or something like that. And I keep thinking about that whenever people use the meaning of like what you call, thank you very much. In a lot of ways, I'm like, well, just thank you, because a lot of ways it just seems like, well, I didn't do all that hard work compared to what you think, because I'm like, all I did was just like, well, and just knowing about that, yeah, it's basically information about something that you were able to provide or do that more likely that's much more than just a thank you. Anybody will probably say like, yeah, that so far as knowing about the whole meaning about, for thank you very much. And basically it's like, so far as a meaning that represents, it's like, thanks, you've done a lot more than what you would ask. And I'm sure that whenever people usually say thank you very much, is basically if you do more, if you wind up doing more than what you would ask to provide. Now I'm thinking that's basically what it means right here. It's like when you do more than what's asked, or it's like if it's done or completed on time, something like that. I don't know about like, yeah, do more than ask. Whenever you do more than asked, it seems like that usually people use the word by phrase of like, thank you so much, thank you very much, something like that. But on the other hand, that there may be some times to where that if you provide, certain information, and anybody that may say like after the third time that they ask you, and then by the time you finally get onto it, it's like, well, thank you very much for providing that for me, like, or thank you very much for doing that. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about what is the opposite besides, thank you. I'm like, I am so disappointed, or something like that, or that a lot of people use the word by say is like you failed. Like you failed to provide the information that's required, etc., etc. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about that anybody that probably say, I kept thinking about that, I'm like, yeah, that every time that people usually say the word by, thank you very much, I keep thinking about that, why does that sound so cheesy? Almost like what you call is like giving me a pat on the back whenever I don't need it. I don't need no pat on the back. What I just usually need is by basically, if that's the information that you need to see that you asked for. And but on the other hand, anybody that probably say, I'm like, yeah, from all that hard work that you did, even with just a phone call, more likely they say is like, is that going to make a difference? Is that going to make a difference or not? Because anyway, probably say, I'm like, yeah, that on their hand, that know about, oh, it wasn't nothing. Like, well, nothing plus nothing is not is what you call. You may think that's not equal to something, but on your hand too, if you take care of something, if you take care of an important matter immediately, the more likely that you are going to get like what you call is like a thank you so much, thank you very much, or thank you extremely very welcomely, or something like that. Comment. And like with anybody that may wonder like exactly about the types of comments that more like, yeah, but on the hand too, that what I'm wearing right here is I'm trying to think about this t-shirt right here that I was wearing, and on it by have I see it's a logo right here, and I could probably say about if I was holding the planet Earth or something, and then there would be like a logo right here. It's like a you want to watch watch you, or something like that. I think it was Yappa you did or something like that. That was the shirt that I was wearing. That would have been about the year, I think it was 1991, whenever drew this photo right here. And along I say with the presents, but on the other hand too, anybody probably say about for so far as what we remember from that special moment of time I'm knowing about is like for thank you very much is basically what does it usually mean. It's by what you call is that knowing about that if it's like what you call as expression, or about how people think about how much time it took for you to provide information, to have it in a reasonable time, etc., etc. And like with anybody that may say it, like whenever they say very or so much, like so if I was talk about, I'm like, yeah, well, all I did was just make a phone call, or all I did was just write down the notes, and but I'm like, well, is there more than that? I'm like, really, that we may have said, like, provided about, anybody would probably say, I'm like, yeah, that morning of what you call is like a Monday morning, as of maybe June, or I'll just say maybe June the 2nd or something like that. I'm like, if I can remember right, I'm like talking about between Monday and Tuesday, knowing about, information that you may provide, to maybe the insurance company or something like that. I like talking about is like, yeah, that if it's including 1 or 2 paragraphs about, maybe an appointment date, or, something like that, or any specific information of talking about, I'm like, yeah, that we may think that, 15 minutes of our time is not going to change anything, or not going to really be worth, the time knowing about. I'm like, yeah, 15 minutes. What could be done to make a difference in 15 minutes? I'm like, anybody probably say, but it may take about 15 days for anything really to happen. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about maybe something small that could maybe make a difference, such as anybody will maybe think about. I'm like, yeah, that talking about, it's like, something small. Something small would more likely be, it's like, yeah, that, if you want to go ahead, like I can go ahead and use right here, it's like, so far as a foreign language, to talk about, say thank you very much. If we would be reading a news article, it is, and all about between thank you very much and anybody that may think about, like, yeah, that if you want to go ahead and underline the O and the U. So far as thank you very much, and on the other hand, go ahead and see here, use right here. It's like I say, a darker underline right here for very. If most of us had taken any type of language arts course, knowing about, I'm like, yeah, that thank you very. So far as, for thank you, so for thank you very much. Like, so far as, like, anybody probably say it, if you want to say it backwards, you'll try to say it backwards. Much, very, you think. I'm like, much, very, you think. Thank you very much. Much, very, you think. And anybody probably saying, I'm like, yeah, that much, very, you think. I'm like, not only does it sound backwards, but it don't make any sense. And on the other hand, too, that knowing about, much, very, you think. Much, very, you think, the way I think about it, I'm like, much, very, you think. Is there any very inside of what we think? But on the other hand, knowing about, I'm like, yeah, that so far as do more than ask, it's like talking about right here, like you ask, then more do. I know about right here is talking about do more than asked. So it's like a lot of times between ask, then more do, and then do more than asked. And anybody may think about, if it's backwards or if it's, forwards, and it's like talk about say reversed, it is, I know about, does it make more sense if we would have maybe do it backwards? Like talk about say for very. Anybody probably say, I'm like, yeah, that for much, like talking about, much, very, or if it goes by saying, it's like much so. Much so, and then a much, very. And so if I was talking, say for thank you, and knowing about anybody probably saying, I'm like, yeah, if you want to go ahead and try, it's like zoom in right here, take a vision test. I'm like, yeah, is this better? Or is this better? Is this better? Or is this better? Is this better? Or is this better? Is this better? Or is that better? But on the other hand, and knowing about, like, yeah, the types of vision tests, of course, that they usually test you on, but anybody probably say, I'm like, yeah, that besides to say camera lenses, that they got all kinds of I'm sure you for prescription eyeglasses. But on the other hand, too, to knowing about right here is talk about say for thank you very much. It basically knowing about exactly about the whole meanings of I say for how we say thank you. To say for thank you very much for watching. To say collectivity. Well, hello there. I wanted to talk about say for thank you very much. Of knowing about anybody that more likely wonders. It's like talking about for thank you very much. And like for how people say it and like how they graduate is. And like anybody probably say about if some people probably say if they say it like what you call it's like thank you very much. Or if it's thank you very much. Or if it goes by saying it's like thank you so much. Or if it's anything that's related to how people exaggerate it's like their feelings of talk about like that is I go by that the handshake if anybody knows like like thank you very much or something like that. But and I know with most of the time I guess we probably see it like with guys and gentlemen or if it's between the ladies and knowing about it's like talk about thank you very much man or thank you very much ma'am or anything like that. I'm like but on your hand too, anybody probably say the way how we greet people and knowing about between sir and ma'am and that if anybody has ever called that any waitress or any like talk about particular names such as Akis or anything like that Akis or Pashorman or something like that. But on the hint too between Akis and Bashorman and knowing about that the ways of how we say it's like for thank you very much. And like with anybody that may say there's like what you call it's like I say that particular writing of knowing about how people say it. But then on your hand too that knowing about that really about the way that maybe people say it is half the time like wondering that that from how they say it is that knowing about like some particular reason to why that they want to exaggerate, such as like oh thank you, oh thanks a lot, and I could tell anybody here that the way people usually say the word it's like for thanks a lot, like thanks a lot. I'm like anybody that may wonder, I'm like why does that sound a little bit negative? I'm like compared to the answer that we want to hear, such as between thank you so much, thank you very much for doing this, or thank you very much for providing the information to us. Thank you very much for your time. Compared to like anybody probably saying, I'm like, oh thanks a lot. Yeah, well thanks a lot. Okay, thank you. So, and anybody that may wonder about and I talk about either way, whenever you get a thank you, it seems like, well, you're welcome, ma'am. You're welcome, sir. Yeah, okay. Miss. Akis, you're welcome, but on your hand, that knowing about anybody will probably say like the whole meanings of like what you call for how people say thank you very much, and knowing about I can go ahead and use right here the paper right here. Art is like say example of anybody probably say about so far as how may I serve you. Talk about okay, well here's your order. Thank you very much. Okay, here's your forms. Here's the papers. Just sign right here and date, and then you're all set to go. Okay, thank you very much. And then on your hand, if anybody would come up and say one day, it's like, okay, here's your form. Okay, go ahead and sign a date, and then you're all done. Okay, thanks a lot. Anybody probably say, okay, whatever happened to that? I know about that. They say, please sign right here, and then date, and then you're all done. Thanks a lot. But on your hand too, that knowing about like okay, well here's your papers. Okay, sign right here, and you're all done. Or yep, okay, well you're all done. Okay, the appointment's done. Okay, here's your paper. Just sign right here, and you're all done. Okay, thank you very much, man, or something like that. Or thank you very much, if it's ma'am or if it's like top say for Akis or anything like that. But anyway, anybody say about we get your point, but. On your hand too, to knowing about for how we express ourselves is like talking about is like for for how we say thank you, and like with anybody that may say like how we sign the typical sign language, such as for how we say thank you, and like with anybody that may say like if anybody has ever like used like what you call it's like a like if this like what you call represents for like a sign language so far as that thanks for your time or anything like that, kind of giving that look. It's like anybody that may wonder, I'm like, really about if we were to do that typical sign, like anybody that may wonder, I'm like, yeah, if we're talking about number, if it's 2 or 3, anybody probably say 1 and then it's 2. But then whenever they say 3, a lot of times, anybody would probably say no, 3. I'm like, they don't usually do this, they just say 3. But on the other hand too, that they need to say so far for 3. Like anybody particular knowing about, for that typical, type of sign language it is. Anybody probably say usually that this means, like I say W, and if I can remember right, this means M. If I can remember right, this is like M, this is N, and then this is M for, like say, for sign language. If I can remember right, M, and then I'm saying L, and then it's like if I can, different types of letters of the alphabet that like what you call like typical sign language. And like with anybody that may wonder about so far for thank you and talk about like that if anybody were to try to sign to you like typical sign language or things like that, such as thank you very much, and knowing about it's like anybody probably say about like but on your hand too, exactly. What does that mean, huh? I might talk about it's like it's like I just want to celebrate, or does it mean it's like, well, thank you, okay, next time. But anyway, but anybody probably saying like it's kind of interesting, knowing about the different ways of how we say, express, say our comments, but on the hand that knowing about, I'm like, for basically what it means, though, is knowing about anybody probably say about the person who takes the time, of course, is knowing about, it's like, that knowing about anybody that may think that. I'm like, the more time you spend on something, that more likely somebody's going to say thank you very much for your time. But then if you spend maybe only about maybe an hour on something, then you may get, if anything, any helpful information, helpful sources of information, stuff like that. And a lot of times anybody probably say about it really don't matter. I know about usually between the difference between thank you and just between just thank you and thank you very much. Anybody probably say about it whenever they say thank you, and it usually means like some source of information that they need. But then when they say very much or so much, it usually means by that's usually anybody maybe say that may say that's that the information you provided really helped out a lot. That was more than what I asked for, etc., etc. But like with anybody that may wonder, like if we're going to be asking a question or have any type of concerns it is, and knowing about the type of answers that we get, if they are more than what we usually expect, a lot of times anybody probably say about, thank you very much. Well, in hand too. It's like talk about say for motifs, or it's like for gentlemen or anything like that. But anyway, but on the hand too, to talk about say the whole purpose about for thank you very much meanings. Basically, if it goes by what you call thank you or thank you so much, man. Thanks, ma'am. Or like how may I help you? Or okay, thanks a lot. Or if it's like what you call thank you very much, and talk about right here. I say for the thank you very much. I say the greeting meanings.